What's up, Yoon-Fam? It is I,
Mark Yoon.
Today's video, I want to talk about kind of a clickbaity topic, I guess. It's canceling Season 3 or reasons why they would cancel Season 3. When I'm saying they, I'm referring to Project Soul or Bandai Namco, whomever would be responsible for the decision to ultimately cancel it. Now, I'm going to get into like the pros and cons of said Season 3 in tomorrow's video, but today I just want to go over a couple of the reasons why, in my estimation, they would cancel Season 3 if we don't see anything of it upcoming soon. Resources are spread pretty thin because of the pandemic, and we already know that Project Soul is a small developer team as it is. It's not anywhere near as big as its sister team for Tekken, and a lot of the resources and utility and marketing that go into Soul Calibur is either drummed up directly from them, because they have no budget, basically, from Soul Calibur VI from Bandai Namco to promote their own product, which is why you see them in a lot of tournaments and doing the esports thing and a lot of word of mouth, because that's all free marketing and help get the name out there even more. I've even seen Okubo responding to specific people. Now, granted, Harada does this as well, but the topic of today's video is why would they cancel Season 3? Now, some would say that there's precedent for this, looking back to the Sephiroth store and the DLC that was planned for Soul Calibur V, but that was an entirely different situation. The previous team had actually left when it comes down to Soul Calibur V. The director moved on to other projects. There was a new director for 5 from 4. He ended up not lasting past the reception of Soul Calibur V as well. Harada, as you know, went on to specifically work on Tekken's team, and there was just a mess going on in a transition period over at Project Soul. The entire team is basically new, and they're working with, you know, old assets and things of that nature. I'm sure we can go back and look at that for what it is, that piece of history. And I know that some people like Soul Calibur V, or they appreciate its place within the I guess the mythos of Soul Calibur and its franchise. Other people beg to differ. There's a lot more consensus on the notion that Soul Calibur V is at very least the worst of the Soul Calibur franchise. I'm inclined to share that opinion. I know a lot of people actually like some of the new replacement characters and the direction they went in with some of those characters. My estimation or approximation is that Sony financing Soul Calibur 3 led to the ultimate downfall in the beginning. Now, that's not to say that 3 wasn't a good game. 3 is actually my favorite in the entire franchise, but this is all leading up to a point. I promise you. Just stay with me. So, they canceled that because they wanted to work on other stuff with Soul Calibur. The team had changed. They were trying to do the spin-off game for the Wii. They were working on that free-to-play game. They were doing the iOS game. They were just trying to expand out beyond like regular console gaming to try and see if there was a bigger market out there for Soul Calibur. Turns out that either there wasn't, or they just weren't happy with the reception from all of those projects, and they decided to cancel the DLC from 5 that was planned. Most common theory on that is that they literally didn't make back the money from the game, so they couldn't push extra into the Season 1 DLC. There are other, thought processes that go along with that. I tend to try and put my mind towards that they were trying to reallocate that money onto these other projects to see if they can kind of get a new foothold in a different market. In some ways, Soul Calibur V was very emergent and trend-setting by trying to follow directly after esports and go the Street Fighter Alpha 3 route and give us a brand new cast of characters while getting rid of the old ones, taking the story in a completely new direction, and focusing more on the online aspects of the game. There were a lot of parts to the game that were not finished upon release, and the game was released in a some would call it a vanilla state, a state in which a lot of the modes that were planned and things that were supposed to be added in later never came to fruition, and this includes the DLC. But I think that's a completely different environment and situation than what Soul Calibur VI is facing right now. I think of a lot of the theories surrounding this have to do with people's perceptions of certain games. I try not to cloud like my observations with like my own mental gymnastics about what I think about things. I'm very well aware of people's dislike for Soul Calibur 3, even though it's my favorite in the franchise. A lot of people think that while it is jam-packed with single-player content, the combat itself suffered as a result, with slowdown and glitches and a lack of guest characters, which, yes, some people actually claim as a bad thing about that game. We have Telos and Kelos, obviously from Xenosaga, but they were just, costumes for they were basically bonus characters, not guests, because you had to create them. Same with some of the other characters that were in the arcade edition, but not released in the vanilla version. But a lot of people will look at Soul Calibur 5 and they'll say, well, they canceled the DLC for Soul Calibur 5, so what's stopping them from doing it for Soul Calibur 6? I just want to talk about a few reasons why they would do that. I don't think they're the same situation at all, but I do think there are some reasons why they could do that. The first and most important to me being reallocation of assets and money. So now that the next generation of consoles is here, obviously the next Soul Calibur game, whenever it comes out, be it 2023 or 2024, Soul Calibur 7 is going to be utilizing a brand new engine, so they have to like rework it from the ground up. They can't just like repackage assets from previous generations of the Unreal Engine and call it a day. The stark contrast from 4 to 5 with using outdated technology on a new engine really showed, and a lot of people will tell you that Soul Calibur 4 looked better than Soul Calibur 5, and it's because they reused old assets and polygonal infrastructure on the new Unreal Engine. So you can say stylistically or whatever that there's a reason for that, but I think it's more to keep up with the Joneses in the situation where you want your game to look as fresh and new as possible, especially on the newest generation of hardware. And to do that, they'd have to build it from the ground up. So a lot of that resources takes a lot of money, and I think a reallocation from Season 3 would benefit them greatly from that. They made a lot of money off of Seasons 1 and 2, and while I think that like the game could benefit from a third season, I don't think it's detrimental. I think it's in a pretty good spot, and I will maybe elaborate that on a future video, and I'll get into it a little bit here. But the characters we have slated for the release are all legacy characters, with the exception of the guest. And another reason why they could cancel Season 3 is if they can't lock down a guest. If they can't afford to, for whatever reason, have another anchor. Anchor is a term used for brick-and-mortar malls, by the way. It's like those big stores you see on the outside that bring people to the mall itself, like a JCPenney's or a Macy's or whatever. Guests act as anchors for these DLC season passes. People that wouldn't really be interested in spending the extra money on the season or gaining a new following of people based from that franchise. That's what they're going for with that. So they're using it as an anchor so that people will come and purchase more money on the product, obviously. So if we don't have a new guest character, and a lot of people have ideas of who that guest character would be. I've made tons of videos on the topic myself. If they just released it as 3 characters, that being speculated to be Aeon, Kalkos, Rock, and Yoon Song, then some people think Algol as well. That isn't really a draw for a lot of people, especially when you got characters like Yoon Song, who is in so few games, and characters like Rock, who has been sorely missing from games, but has a lot of his moveset replaced with Astaroth. And then there's the people who say that Lizard Man shouldn't even be in the game because of the fact that we can create him with the lizard race, which I am wholly against that argument because I think the lizard race is severely lacking and can use the DLC to actually benefit it a lot. But again, that money towards this season could be going towards Soul Calibur 7 and giving it the best jump start it could possibly have. And they might lose out on a lot of money if they go ahead and they, push forward this game without like having that anchor, having that guest character, which is why I said in that video that they're necessary, even if we may not want them. But there's other smaller reasons why as well. Character draw could be a thing. Profit margin or how much money they made on Season 2 could also be an issue. Obviously, there's the pandemic and the political spectrum right now, as well as like the Olympics that are supposed to take place in Tokyo later this year, which will affect the entire country. There's a lot of reasons that I think that they could cancel it. Another reason to cancel a Season 3 DLC would be to hold off on these characters to build hype for Soul Calibur 7. Maybe Rock is your favorite character, maybe Aeon is your favorite character. By adding them to the base roster of the next game, they're ensuring that you're at least going to return for that, if not out of curiosity, but just out of the fact that that's your favorite character. That's a tactic that is widely used in the gaming community, where they will take things out of a game and then add it later back on, and people seem to have no problem with spending the money on it. A lot of this happens within fighting games, unfortunately, as well, which have kind of gone down the route of sports games in recent years, where they will cut short certain aspects just to push the game out for esports. This is not a detriment to esports. Esports does help the community in vast and quantifying ways that you can clearly calculate, but I'm just saying, as a whole, they take shortcuts and they just want to release the game on time so it meets certain tournament time slots. I've talked about that again before as well, but there's a lot of different reasons why they would cancel a Season 3. Would I personally be upset if they did cancel Season 3? I'd say a little bit yes, but then to another point, I think we're in a good spot right now. They have a good lead up to Soul Calibur 7 with all the extra story that they've added with Season 2's DLC, especially with Hwang Sung-young, and going back to Setsuka. So I think a lot of that has intrigued me enough to hold me over until the next game. I would, of course, like a more wider array of movesets in the game, which would come with DLC characters. But I also think that we're in a pretty good spot as it is. There's a lot of people saying, like, there's a lack of content keeping us occupied. I can almost guarantee you that those people haven't played through Libra of Souls the 2 times they need to and unlock the secret hidden bosses. I can almost guarantee you those people haven't unlocked everything in the library, as well as gone through the library and encyclopedia, which I do every Thursday with you guys, so I can read it aloud to a vocal library. And I can almost guarantee you those people haven't done all the Soul Chronicles and all of the different aspects of the game outside of just like the story mode and online, because there are some people that only play the game for online, and that's usually generally the consensus of people I see claiming that there's no content in the game, because compared to 5, this game is packed to the brim. And a lot of those same people didn't have a problem with 5, so I really don't understand where that argument comes from. I guess I can, to a degree, from their perspective, see it, but I just don't think there's any much stock in it. But I don't want this video to drag on too much longer. We're going to cut it short for today right here, and I will see you in tomorrow's video as we're discussing the pros and cons of Season 3. So come back and stay tuned for that. I hope you guys will join the channel or subscribe so you can keep up to date with not only my opinions and speculations of the series, but also news and other things, because as soon as we get any information about Season 3, my channel is usually the first one to get that information out to you, sometimes even before Twitter. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to a close. If you want to continue this conversation, you can do so in 2 ways, by using the comment section down below, or joining the Discord, so you can go in there and chat with a bunch of us, and the Yoon-Fam will reply back to you, and has a lot of good conversations and topics, and even funny things going on over there besides Soul Calibur. So that's always a good place to extend the conversation. But as always, guys, I want to say thank you for watching. I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.